Welcome to Literary Libations with Librarians. And this week we are going to be talking about our best beach reads. And just be aware that the definition of a beach read may be different for you than it is for us, because for some people they want to escape. For some people they really want to dig into something deep while they get to enjoy the lake or the ocean and the fresh air. So this week, best beach reads. As you're listening, if you hear something that you'd like to get your hands on, each time we talk about a new title, it will appear on your screen. And next to each title will be a list of the different formats that title is available in through the Monroe County Library System. So if it says it's available as a hardcover, paperback, a CD, audio, large print, those you can request through our online catalog. That website is there on your screen for you right now. All of our branches are currently open for curbside service. So if you request through that way, your branch will give you a call when your item comes in and you can go and pick that up. Also, some of our items will show that they're available through our digital formats. The different platforms that we have for that are Overdrive, and you may also hear that referred to as Libby. Libby is the name of the app, and Overdrive offers ebooks and downloadable audiobooks. You may also see Hoopla listed. Hoopla offers ebooks, downloadable audiobooks, and also movies, music, and graphic novels. And RB Digital offers downloadable audiobooks and also magazines and week-long passes to Acorn TV and the Great Courses. And the great thing about the Hoopla and RB Digital platforms is that there is never a wait. If an item is listed as available via Hoopla or RB Digital, you can get that on your device immediately, which is fabulous. And now I'm going to introduce our Monroe County Library System staff that are with us this week. And I am Jennifer Graneski, and I am the community librarian at the Dundee Branch Library. And we're talking about beach reads this week. So our introductory question is going to be, where is your favorite spot to read? And mine does not happen to be the beach. While I enjoy looking at the ocean, I'm not really a beach person. I can enjoy the ocean from afar. So my favorite spot is actually our guest room at our house. Not my bedroom and not the living room. Bedroom is too cluttered because we actually, live in it. And the living room, there are constant interruptions. And the guest room is lovely and neat. And, the bed's always made, and it's got a big window out into our front yard, so I can see the flowers if it's summer. I can see the, the snow or the stark trees if it's winter, or the fall foliage. So that's my favorite place to read. It's peaceful, it's pretty, and it's neat, and that makes me happy. So also with us this week is Ashley Lyford, the community librarian at the Summerfield Petersburg branch. And where is your favorite spot to read, Ashley?
I really struggled with this. I don't know that I have a favorite spot. I think just anywhere. Having books on our phones has made it so we can read wherever we want. And I really like that because I'm not good at sitting down and just reading to read. So I don't know, maybe I'm just going to say anywhere. I'm happy to read wherever.
Now I have to ask you, being an older person, do you actually read on your phone? Or do you really read on your phone?
I almost only read on my phone, because I have it.
On your phone, not like a tablet.
No, just on my little phone here.
Oh my goodness.
I never used to read on my phone. I couldn't understand it. And I have gotten in, I don't do it all the time, but modern phones are not small.
Yeah.
So, big chunks, you're still sitting there going but it works.
Yeah. And
I just tried that. I just feel my old eyes can't take that.
It's just nice because, you don't have to carry something with you because you always have your phone. And I have mine turned to the night setting, so my screen is actually black and my words are white. That makes it a little better.
I do the same thing.
And now I feel old. I just want you to know, because I'm I just can't picture reading on my phone, but I am so glad that is happening, because that means, like you said, you can read anywhere. Mm-hmm. All right, and let's have Marcia Langendorfer, our reference librarian from the Bedford Branch Library, share her favorite spot to read.
Well, I used to say I read at stoplights and sporting events because that was about the only chance I had. And but I would say if I had to pick a spot, actually, I thought for sure you were going to say the fireplace at Bedford.
Oh, well, but I don't read there.
I know. That was where her office was when she was here. But for me, I'm going to go with my back deck. I really all seasons for me. I mean, now it's kind of nice because it's summery, but any season, that's my favorite place. Everybody, it's no secret. I love my house and my view. So I really like to just be there. So I'm going to say at home, outside on my back deck.
I would also read on your back deck, Marsha, just so you know. If you come out there sometime and I've just randomly,
You're reading on my back deck. That's
reading
fine.
on your back deck.
It's a
just
great
reading here.
We need to have like a flash mob read-in at Marsha's back deck.
Right. Just show up all with our books. We're just reading. We're good.
Book club.
I'm sure Marsha wouldn't mind. She'd probably bring us snacks.
Probably. Thank you, Marsha. We also have with us this week Isabella Arnold, who is a processing clerk in the collections department. So she makes sure that all of the materials that come into the Monroe County Library System, whether new materials or interlibrary loan through Melcat, that those make it out to all of our patrons. So Isabella, where is your favorite spot to read?
Well, when Marsha just mentioned sporting events, it reminded me I loved reading at sporting events growing up because my brothers were on a bunch of teams and just something about the crazy noise around you and then diving into a book I loved, still love that. But my current favorite place is reading in my parents' screened-in porch because it had a pond outside with a waterfall feature, and so you hear the tinkling of water, and animals will just come up to the screens, and usually my dog's out there with me, and it's just comfy, and that's the ultimate place. Sitting in one of those zero gravity chairs, just relaxing and reading. Yes, outdoors.
So right now I'm gonna leave, go to Isabella's parents' house and relax. And you all just keep doing this. Let me know when you're done.
Yes.
Thank you, Isabella. That does sound awesome. We also have with us this week Jen McCarty, and Jen is a reference librarian at the Ellis branch. And it looks like she might have momentarily frozen. Nope. I saw a head nod. Maybe not. So we're going to go to Barbara Kruger, who is our community outreach coordinator for the entire Monroe County Library System. And Barbara, where is your favorite spot to read?
Well, my favorite place to read is where I get to do it the most. I read in volume, and I do most of my reading in my living room. I have a really comfy old lazy boy chair. I can curl up. I can sit in a variety of yoga positions in the lazy boy, and reading is what I treat myself with at the end of the day, and it's delightful.
Excellent.
Although I might show up at Bella's parents or Marsha's deck, anytime soon.
Anytime. Just if you need a change of scenery.
There you go.
And also with us is Jen McCarty, a reference librarian at the Ellis branch. And Jen, where is your favorite spot to read?
I was trying to think of one too. Like Ashley, I kind of read everywhere. For me, I have two fairly young children, so a lot of times, evening hours, it's wherever there's a quiet place. They're not quiet. My favorite reading spot ever, a couple of years ago, my family and I rented this big house on the ocean in Maine. And there was an awesome hammock right on the front porch that actually faced the ocean. And that was the absolute best place I've ever read in my life. It was so relaxing, the ocean. It was, we were there in the summer, so it was really nice and warm, and you had, breezes, and it was quiet and tranquil. But unfortunately, I only got to enjoy that, But just in general, any quiet spot that I can find where someone's not telling me about their Lego video game, I'm good.
Yes, sometimes you need a moment of quiet. I agree. All right, and now we're going to get started with our favorite and best beach reads. And let's start with Marsha. Oh, see, because Marsha was ready. I didn't even notice that. She's ready to talk about her beach reads. Oh, you're muted, Marsha.
Thank you. I decided to pick my favorite author, or one of my favorite authors, Lisa Scottolini, who I was supposed to meet in Philadelphia, except the blizzard came and she didn't show. Remember that, Ashley? That was really sad. We have emailed, and I think we would be great friends. So if she happens to tune in, let's get together. But she, so the first reason I loved her originally are not my beach reads, but she writes law crime books. And if anyone knows me, they know I love the law, and that's my background. So her books are amazing. If you like John Grisham, if you like, they're always, you know, thriller, mystery, legal books that are great. However, for my beach reads, she's also hysterical. She and her daughter Francesca are both authors, and they write these hilarious books. Every chapter, these happen to be large print, so you can clearly see them. Every chapter takes turns. It's like mother, then daughter, then mother. They are really quick stories, which is what I love for a beach read, because they're just 2 or 3 page stories, so you can put it down, jump in the water, put it down, take a nap, and you're not trying to remember where you were. So these are true stories, or mostly true, maybe slightly exaggerated. They are laugh out loud funny. They talk about her mother, Mary, who is, you know, her 100-year-old mother. Her brother, Frank, makes appearances, and they are just fun. They actually write for the Philadelphia newspaper a column called Chick Wit, and it is very funny and clever, and it is a weekly column, and you can look that up online. Everything she says is funny. She's in love with Bradley Cooper. She refers to her ex-husbands as Thing 1 and Thing 2. They love their dogs. Almost every book is all about their dogs. They're just very funny, laugh out loud, light reading of mother-daughter, and I just love anything they write together collectively. They're very fun. They're perfect for the beach.
I love your description of your beach read, Marsha, as, you know, you need it to be short because you're going to be out like playing games and getting in the water. Yeah, no.
Yep.
We need that because there are people who go to the beach and actually do activities. So they would need that sort of read. So that's great. I don't think I've read Lisa Scottolini, but only like the works that you mentioned, like her thrillers. I don't think I've read any of the books that she's written with her daughter.
Me too. They're so funny. They're just so funny. She does this one. My very favorite is when she describes a visit to the gynecologist. And for all of you women out there, it is the best. I mean, if you don't read any of these books in the entirety, you need to look up that one. It's so funny. Just all of it is so funny. So I'm a big fan of hers. For sure.
And then read that one at the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it says beach like gynecologist. So thank you, Marsha. And let's have Jen share her best beach reads.
Okay, so my two are very unrelated to one another. So let's start with sort of the more traditional beach reading book. I've got No Judgments by one of my favorite authors, Meg Cabot. And you know, Marsha didn't get to meet Lisa, but I got to meet Meg, and she signed my book. Ashley and I actually kind of stalked her spot at the American Libraries Association last year, waiting for her to come out so that we could get these. So this book is set in the Florida Keys, and what's fun is Meg actually lives there. So this book is actually set during a hurricane, and she was inspired to write this after she actually lived through, you know, one of the last really bad hurricane seasons. So this book, the people of Little Bridge Island, it's a small island in the Florida Keys. The main character, Bree, decides that she is not going to evacuate. She's going to shelter in place during this Category 5 hurricane. So the book follows the people that stayed on the island. And it sounds like it might be heavy. It's not. It's funny. Basically goes through the hurricane, you know, everything's great, and then it's the cleanup. And Bree discovers there's a lot of people who left their pets on the island thinking they'd be able to come right back. Maybe they were, you know, staying in a shelter and they couldn't bring them, or, you know, whatever reason they had for not going. So Bree and this guy that she doesn't really like, of course, named Drew, decide to start trying to basically rescue all of the pets and take care of all the pets until their owners can get back. And it's super cute, and it's super funny, and it's very, very light. It's another one that has, the chapters are not crazy long, so if you are a beach activity person, you know, you can do that. But just a lot of fun. It's a little romance. It's a little bit interesting to look at the inside of, you know, what happens during a hurricane when you shelter in place. So I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy that. And Meg is one of my favorite authors anyway, so super good book. Second one, maybe not so beachy, but definitely a travel book and one that I enjoyed, is Assassination Vacation by Sarah Vowell. So Sarah she's a writer. She has been on like NPR, and she's done some other, things. She's actually the voice of Violet in The Incredibles, just a fun fact. So she's also a history buff. And in particular, she's a little bit obsessed with presidential assassinations. So this book follows her travel adventures going to places related to assassinations or related to the presidents. So it follows the first 3 presidential assassinations, Lincoln, McKinley, and Garfield, and all the different places that she goes. I hate to say it's funny, because that sounds weird to be like, hey, this book about assassinations is funny, but it is. And there's so many like little things that are nerdy, and I'm a little bit of a history buff and a little bit of a nerd as well. So many like the little things that she says I totally relate to. I did start re-listening to it, which is narrated by her with like other little excerpts from other like comedians, like Jon Stewart is in there. There's a couple times where she calls back to like speeches, and so other people will read them. But it's just funny. I will say, kind of a word of warning. This was written, I don't remember the exact date, but it's during the like Iraq War. There's a little bit of political stuff from that climate. So she talks about George W. Bush, and she's not a fan. So if you're bothered by that kind of stuff, maybe skip it. But the historical stuff is really good and really funny. One of my favorite parts is when she was talking about taking her nephew to Disney World. And they also decide, hey, we're in Florida. We're really close to McKinley's tomb. We gotta go. And she says, one of the reasons I wanted to take my nephew to Disney World was because I didn't want him to look back at his life and see all of his pictures with his aunt are like at tombs and memorials and these really nerdy things. But hey, we're gonna go to Disneyland, but we're also gonna take a stop at McKinley's tomb because we can't not be this close. And that's it's funny. It's funny, and I learned a lot. Definitely not your normal like light. I mean, it is kind of light, but it's not a romance by any means. But it's really, really good. And even if you're not a huge nonfiction, not a huge history person, there's stuff to like in this. So love Assassination Vacation.
I just really love the title. When you sent your title in, I was just like, I don't know what this is about, but come on, Assassination Vacation.
Her titles are all fantastic. She wrote a book about like early colonists and the Pilgrims and all of that called The Wordy Shipmates. And she has another book, and I can't remember exactly what it's about, but it's called Take the Cannoli. Her titles are awesome.
I will always take the cannoli. I just want everyone to know.
Me too. So.
Thank you, Jen. And let's have Isabella share her beach reads next.
So my first beach read, I guess, isn't as light and fluffy as everybody else's, but it's The Goldfinch. So good. It is a huge novel, so I brought it on my Kindle because who wants to lug around a 700+ page novel with them on vacation? But I will admit, growing up, all of my vacations, before I packed like my sunblock, before I like packed what swimsuits I was going to bring, I planned my books. And there was like always a huge stack of books we'd take with us whenever we'd go up north. And nowadays I just bring my Kindle with me when I go on vacation. And so I always like stock my Kindle up with all of my e-reads from Overdrive and Hoopla. It's great. I love it so much. But The Goldfinch, I initially picked it up because it was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and I just find those books are probably always going to be really good. So I got it, and I had it on my Kindle for like years, and then I finally was going on a vacation where we were going to be gone for a while, and I thought this is the time to finally read this and see what the hype is about. So good. Oh my goodness. It's one of those books that you're so drawn into, and you just can't stop thinking about this world that the author has created. And it was perfect for like whenever it was raining out and we couldn't be outside doing fun things. So instead I was just like engulfed in this novel. Whenever we had to wait anywhere, I had my book out and I was excited to read. So it just made like my vacation double as nice, because it was nice being in like the warm sun and doing all the fun things. And it's also nice doing the boring stuff because I could read. And so this book is follows this 13-year-old boy, Theo, through his life, and it begins with like the opening of the story has like 3 major like things that are going to change his life forever. Like he's in this terrorist attack and he survives. He steals a painting, and then he meets a person that's going to like connect him to his new family for life. And it's just this wild ride as he's growing up and shuttling between friends' homes and his estranged father and going back to New York. And he's just really at this point in his life where he's just spiraling. Like he's self-medicating, he is starting to do some dubious crime activities. And then he also he's trying to figure out the love of his life. And it's this girl that he just happened to meet in a moment. And there's a lot of huge themes in this book about like the randomness of our lives and fate, and then deciding like what's worth living for and what's worth dying for. And there's just so many like huge things that get talked about. And it's all while just following this boy as he grows, and he's so complex, and you feel so bad for him in this predicament that he's in. But then you also you want to know what happens. And the last like third of it is a crime thriller through Europe, which was, I didn't think I would like that type of stuff, but I loved it. And then it ends on just a wonderful note that he's trying to redeem his life and make it all worth living for. And it's just really fascinating. It's one of those books that when I started, I was like, oh, am I going to like this? And I loved it. And I mean, I try to talk everybody into reading it, but nobody wants to commit to, all those pages. But
has anybody else read it? Okay, Marsha's read it too. We did it for book club, and my favorite character in the whole book is Boris. And I listened to the book, and so the person that did Boris's voice, and then Boris comes along, and he is just bored with everything. So we must make our own excitement. And why are you so, you're in your head all the time. Mm-hmm. I loved Boris. Anytime Boris came on the page or in my audiobook, I was like, Boris is back. He's just entertaining. He's not a good person. Sort of. But he does terrible things. But I love Boris, so that's my 2 cents on the Goldfinch. But we did it for a book club, and our book club was very split. Some people really loved it, and some people really didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of heavy topics and a lot of things that you're like, ooh, I don't want to read books about, like drugs and violence and stuff. But also, I feel like you learn so much about art as collateral for things. Yeah. And that whole, I was like, what? I'm missing out.
There's a lot packed in there. If you like your beach reads with a lot to really just dig in, like almost like you're eating a thick sandwich or something, the Goldfinch will do that for you. It's got a lot.
Yeah, so complex, so many layers, and just so many, like, you can sympathize with everything he does, and you're just like, oh, I can understand, like, yeah, I probably would steal that painting too because of all this unsentimental attachments.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You gotta take it. And then, well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but so good, so good. And then, like, polar opposite, I guess. My other beach read is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, because I was a nerd growing up, and I mean, I read Portrait of a Young Artist for fun. Like, who does that? And Picture of Dorian Gray for fun. Who does that? But Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, so funny. I've read it on like 3 different vacations. It's Pride and Prejudice, but now add zombies. And the Bennett sisters are like ninjas, and they wield swords all the time. And they're like these master martial artists, and they're just kicking butt, and it's hilarious. I just find it so funny. It's really light, really easy. They do list Jane Austen as co-author, so it really does follow like the dialogue, the format. Pride and Prejudice, you just add zombies that are hungry for human brains and a plague. And so yeah, it's just really fun. Elizabeth Bennet like kicks Darcy's butt, and then Lady Catherine's a ninja too, and they have this ninja battle, and it's so good. It's just really light and really fun. If you like the classics, I recommend it. I know a lot of people that are like classic diehards are like, "Oh, how can you, like, it has spoiled Pride and Prejudice." Like, oh no. It's so funny. Like, I just got a big chuckle out of reading it. I thought it was great. There's a prequel and a sequel that you can also read that I really enjoyed. I haven't read Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters, but I know it's out there. And I was doing some research on it today to see if I had any fun facts. And I found this one quote that said, about the writing of the book, the author said, "You have this fiercely independent heroine, you have this dashing, heroic gentleman, and you have a militia capped out for seemingly no reason whatsoever nearby. And people are always walking here and there and taking carriage rides here and there. And it was just ripe for gore and senseless violence, from my perspective anyway." And so I thought it was really funny from that standpoint is, yeah, there's a lot of useless traveling in Pride and Prejudice. And it kind of took all those boring scenes of, Elizabeth taking her carriage to Darcy's house when Jane is sick and added, some zombie attacks. So I like that as my beach read. I want to read it again, honestly. I've read it 3 times at least.
I'm with you, Isabella. I felt like it enhanced it, especially having already read Pride and Prejudice. I thought that was a fun spin. And like you said, knowing the story, I feel like you almost need to read it first and then read it with zombies. But yeah. I liked it too. I thought it was very fun, a very fun spin.
Oh yeah, hilarious. So,
I feel like zombies make everything, at least more entertaining. Perhaps not more fun, but more entertaining.
I didn't know I liked zombies until I read that.
Until you're right. See?
Yeah.
It's like, the introductory zombie book. Oh, yes. Now I can read more zombie books because I liked this one.
A zombie book for people who don't know they like zombies.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
How about Ashley? What are your best beach reads?
Okay, so I chose 2 books. One of them is called The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. If you haven't ever read anything by Sarah Dessen, you should. Literally every title that I've read by her is amazing. They're YA novels, so young adult, but I'm in my 30s and I'm still reading them. They almost all of the books take place like at a beach, which is why I thought it'd be good for a beach theme. But specifically in The Truth About Forever, the main character's name is Macy, and like a year and a half ago, her father passed away and she was there to witness it. So, her life dramatically changed, and she became known as the girl who saw her father die, and, people just treated her differently and everything. So from that moment, she decided to be this perfect teenager. And so her hair is always perfect, her makeup's always perfect, she does everything her mom asks her to. She's dating this boyfriend that she doesn't really like, but he's also very rigid and perfect. So he goes away for the summer. She's supposed to be working as a clerk at the library. She's covering for her boyfriend while he's gone. So there's that aspect of it. But then one night, her mom has a party. Her mom's a realtor. So her mom has a party to try and get people interested in this new subdivision that she's building. And the catering company that's there, Wish Catering Company, is a chaotic mess, which is completely complete difference from Macy's life. It's nothing that she can handle. But she helps them and she ends up having fun. And then a few weeks later, I think, her boyfriend breaks up with her via email with, no kindness at all. And so she's out driving around trying to make herself feel better, and she sees the Wish catering van. And she's like, the chef had offered her a position if she wanted to work with them for the summer. So she was like, I guess I'll follow this van and see if they need help. So she does, and her life changes dramatically from there. It brings her out of her shell a little. I think it helps her deal with the grief that she had been through. They have a beach house that's being renovated, so she can go there and relax. But also there's this guy in it named Wes, and I love him. He's the real reason why I love it. But that book is really good, as is literally anything by her. The other book I recommended is a nonfiction book. Nonfiction's not really my thing, but I really love to listen to biographies, especially when they're read by the author. So the book I chose is Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. It's very interesting because, you know, by the time that we knew her and she was famous, she still, like, she went to an Oscars event and she still lived in an apartment, like was barely getting by, but you know, then she has to put on like all these fancy clothes and go to this event where, you know, it looks like she is worth $1 million and makes really good money, but yeah, no, she's just still starting and trying to scrap through. She's also very funny. In this book, she says she's going to let out all the things that she had decided to keep in her head all her life. And it's just funny. And it's, you know, there's so many things that you like think about and don't say, or like a running monologue inside your head. I mean, I do. I don't know if anybody else does. And so she just speaks it all, and I love it. So those are the two I recommended.
Yeah, I love those too. I especially love Scrappy Little Nobody. I love that the name is what her big brother called her. That's where her name came from. And then I'm with you. I liked how she kept it real. Like the scene where Ben Affleck flies her back in his jet because they were filming that movie. And again, I felt the whole time like she never felt like she was famous. Like she never lost herself. And so I enjoyed that aspect on top of it being funny. I like her anyway.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. Has anybody else read Sarah Dessen? I've read Sarah Dessen. Okay.
Because she
is fabulous.
Yeah.
She's fabulous. And I can't remember what book it was, but yeah, there are definitely characters in there that you get book crushes on. Mm-hmm. So when you mentioned Wes, I was like, I don't think I've read The Truth About Forever, but she definitely writes good male characters and good female characters.
You get book crushes and then you get like that tightness in your chest. I feel like I'm always like, oh, it's so, they're so
this will work out. I hope it works out.
Yes. Like I hold my breath when I'm reading them. That's a narrative.
And The Truth About Forever, Jennifer, if you haven't read it, you really should. I think it's one of her better titles.
The one that I read, what I remember, there was a lot of music in the one that I read. Like they were sharing playlists or something back and forth with each other. That's the one that I remember. And I think I've read others by her, but that was the one that stood out to me. But it's been, again, old. So it's probably been 15 years back when I was still doing youth services stuff that I read her. All right, and Barbara, what are your best beach reads?
So for beach reads, I pick things that are not what I would typically read. Generally, when I read, I want to be fully immersed in the scenery, in the characters, in the plot. And it's a true way to, take a vacation back to a different time and place. For the beach, I like quick, easy reads that I can put down and pick back up again. Just like Marsha was saying, when I'm at the beach, I want to enjoy I want to be in the moment and be very present and enjoy my surroundings. But you can't go anywhere without a book. So the first one I'd like to talk about, I'll be honest, I chose because I love the title. I turned 50 this year, and this book is called 50 Things That Aren't My Fault, which I thought was funny. And then the subtitle is Essays from the Grown-Up Years, which just cracks me up because even though I am now half a century old, I often have this monologue in my head like, ooh, is that what a grown-up would do? I need to dress like a grown-up today. So I thought that was a cute title, and I was not disappointed. It's written by Kathy Geiswhite, who is the author of Kathy, the cartoon strip. I don't know if you remember that. It ran for decades. And they're just really short. It's like the cartoon came to life in words. And I would like to share an excerpt, just the first couple of paragraphs of the first chapter, 50 Things That Aren't My Fault. Am I allowed to eat a noodle? I stare at the menu on the wall behind the takeout counter and try to remember. It used to be so simple. Noodles were good because they were comfort food. Then noodles were bad because they were fattening. Then noodles were good because they were pasta. Then noodles were bad because they were carbohydrates. Then noodles were good because they were fiber. Then noodles were bad because they were gluten. Then noodles were good because they were pho. Then noodles were bad because they were high glycemic. Then noodles were good because they were comfort food. Then what? I have 6 unread healthy lifestyle magazines on my kitchen counter, which puts me 6 months behind on where the noodle stands, paralyzed at the takeout window. I turned the line of impatient people behind me and blurted out the one and only thing I'm completely sure of at this moment in my grown-up life. It's not my fault. And I'm telling you, the entire book is like that, broken down into tiny chapters. I mean, you could read for 5 minutes and then look up and enjoy, you know, the sand, the beach, the water, the sun, and then come right back in and jump into the next chapter. While each chapter is a little disconnected and that they're on a different topic, she writes extensively about relationships. This one happened about her relationship with food. She talks a lot about her relationship with her mom, being a working woman. Her comic strips came out at a time when women were just breaking into the workplace in large numbers. So she speaks about that a lot. And I remember, like I said, I remember her cartoon strips growing up, and I thought it was a fabulous, easy, quick, fun read. The other book that I picked for this time was nonfiction. Again, not something I generally read, but I don't know if you can. Oh, she's going to show thank you for showing that. It is beautiful. It's the National Audubon Society Field Guide to Seashells in North America. And I feel like if you're at the beach, I have lots of friends who collect sea glass. So we spend a lot of time walking up and down the beach looking for treasures like that. And I think seashells are beautiful. I have always had a bathroom decorated with kind of a nautical seashell theme. I think they're very relaxing and really beautiful. And inside, I'm going to try to hold this so you can, oh, you are not going to see that with my background. Trust me, on the inside, there are beautiful pictures of
Get over
seashells.
your face.
Yeah, you could hold it in
It'll
front
work
of
over
you.
your face. Yeah.
Oh,
Nope. Camera.
Now you're just hands.
Oh, yeah,
There,
yeah,
there. Oh,
There's
right
one.
there. We could see it for a moment. Right there.
Okay, so inside, beautiful pictures of seashells here in the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Seashells.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about
And
those.
if you would like to see those pictures better, you can check out the book at the library and really get an up close look at them.
Don't take
So, and
that
I didn't even realize the Audubon Society did shells. You know, I think of the Audubon Society for
Birds.
like birds. You know, I mean, I'm sure everybody does, and I've seen those guides, but I hadn't thought about it for shells, nor realized how many there were out there, like how many different kinds. Like, to me, a shell's a shell.
Mhm.
So I think that's fascinating. So thank you, Barbara.
Welcome.
Also, I remember reading Kathy. How many of us here remember reading Kathy in the paper? Okay, see, that's what I figured. I was like, some people are too young. So, but yeah, I remember reading Kathy and reading the comics in the newspaper every day.
I actually remember when Kathy stopped running and being sad about it.
Yeah.
Well, you should read the book. It's kind of, like I said, it's like the comic strip comes to life on paper.
Excellent. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
And my titles are, as I'm getting my screen here, my first one is Crazy Rich Asians, which I did read before the movie came out. And the whole reason I picked it up, because, you know, this is very, you know, shows my depth. I picked it up because the original cover was covered in glitter. Not actual glitter, but it looked like it was covered in glitter, and you can kind of see that on your screen. Looked like it was covered in gold glitter. It sparkled in the sunlight, and I was like, wow, I have to read that. I don't know what it's about, but I'm reading it. And it's so fun. It's a great book. It follows the story of Nick and Rachel, and they have met in New York as graduate students. And they've been seeing each other for at least over a year. Could be longer than that. I don't remember. But then Nick invites Rachel back to his family home in Hong Kong, where two of his friends are getting married. So Rachel says, okay, great. She will go, you know, meet his family, and, you know, looking forward to it. This is the next step in their relationship. And she knows that Nick is wealthy. What she doesn't know is how wealthy he is. He's not just sort of rich or millionaire rich. He's multi-billionaire rich. His family is one of the 3 wealthiest families in all of China and Hong Kong. And he is considered over in Asia one of the world's most eligible bachelors, but he doesn't live like that at all when he's in New York going to school. So she has no idea when she goes over to attend this wedding, 1, what a spectacle it's going to be, 2, what his family's going to be like, and 3, that his family isn't going to be thrilled that he is marrying what is referred to as an ABC, an American-born Chinese, and that she doesn't have a family name or any wealth to speak of. She was raised by a single mom. So it's this cultural conflict, but it's also a deep dive into the world of the uber wealthy. If you don't have a lot of patience for name dropping and fashion and descriptions of jets and parties and amazing weddings, this book is not for you. If you just love that sort of stuff, because it just, for me, a beach read is escapism entirely. And this book is entirely escapism. And it did turn into a trilogy. So if you're only familiar with Crazy Rich Asians, there are 2 more books in it that go on to describe the life of Rachel and Nick. So it's just fun, and it's a whole other world, and a world that I didn't have any idea about. Just, like, I know there's really rich people out there, but I don't know what they do with their money. And they're spending it on art and these amazing homes and architecture and decorating. It's just fun. And so Kevin Kwan, the author, has written the trilogy for Crazy Rich Asians, and then he just released his newest book, Sex and Vanity, and I am in the middle of that one, and it is also very fun. So again, if you just want to escape and see what the really wealthy people are doing, it's great. It's got great characters. It's got people that are over the top sort of villains. It's got people that are, much more shaded and well-rounded, and you get to know them. And wealthy or not, people are people, and they have problems, and they have conflicts, and they don't get along, and they are funny, and they are awful, and they are lovely. And this book has all of that wrapped into one glittery package. So that's my first beach read. My other one I included because I really struggled trying to decide what to include for the other one. I didn't want to go with another, big romance like Crazy Rich Asians. So I went with one of my horror thriller titles. And I will say that if you pick up The Escape Room by Megan Golden, you should know it's not great literature. It honestly feels like a Hollywood movie script that never quite made it into production. And it starts off with Sylvie, Sam, Jules, and Vincent are high-flying Wall Street investors, again, really rich people. And they are making tons of money, but they are really rich people who are in fear of losing the money that they have. I believe that this is set during the downturn in 2008. So the firm that they're working for is getting ready to cut a whole bunch of people. And so these 4 executives are invited to this abandoned building on a weekend, and they're told they need to come and that their jobs depend on it. So all of them have other stresses in their lives. They're dealing with stuff with their families. They're scared they're going to lose their jobs, but they show up because if they don't keep this job, they're not sure what other job they're going to be able to get because so many Wall Street firms were shutting down at the time. So they show up, and it turns out to be an escape room experience. So they end up getting into this room, and then, the voice comes over and starts telling them the only way that you're going to survive this experience is if you're able to get out of this room and get to the entrance of the building again. So they start trying to get to the entrance of the building, and since it's a thriller horror novel, not all of them make it. So, and during the process, of course, none of them like each other because it's Wall Street, it's super competitive. They're not working as a team together. They're kind of terrible at it. And sometimes they need to do that and they're not capable of it. And it's completely unbelievable. But if you want an escape where you're just going to keep turning the pages to see who survives, and you do have a pretty good idea from the beginning who's done the escape room, but you don't know why they are targeting these 4 particular people. And so that's the other mystery throughout it. So who's going to survive? And then why is the person who's doing this to them doing it? So again, not great literature, but if you need a book on the beach that's going to keep you turning the pages to find out what happens, this one will do it. So
I read Escape Room as an advanced reader copy. We got those initially.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I read it early. So not only your description is spot on where you're like, oh, it also had, a lot of kind of errors, like sometimes advanced reader copies are kind of hard to read in and of themselves.
Right.
So I did enjoy it. I felt like it was page turning. And then the opposite of you with Crazy Rich Asians, I actually saw the movie first, didn't really realize it was a book until I saw the movie. And then I read that, because I saw the movie and read it in reverse. But as usual, the book is better. But normally I feel like I've always read the book and then wait for the movies to come out. And this one for me was the opposite because I didn't realize it was a book first.
Yeah, and sometimes if I see the movie first, I really struggle reading the book because I feel like I know how it ends. So then I'm like, skip.
You're not as invested. You're not as invested. Yeah, I was a little disappointed too that I had done it in that order for those reasons. But
well, you don't know sometimes. You don't know what
Escape Room sounds like my nightmare. I remember when escape rooms first became a thing, I was like, you want me to go lock myself in a room with other people and puzzle it out? No. And I've done them now, and I've done a couple, and they're actually fun. But when they first were a thing, I was like, no, that's how people get murdered. So apparently,
escape rooms, death traps. No, and I still haven't done an escape room, and I desperately want to because I grew up with a dad who played a lot of puzzle computer games, and this is going to make me sound like a complete geek, but all the Infocom text games, Zork, and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was turned into a text game, for those who don't know that. And then we also played Myst, and all of those games. And those are all very put you in this world and solve puzzles. It's not about like shooting your way out or anything like that. It's just solving puzzles. And I was like, it's like those games come to life. I have not yet done one.
You really have to have a good team. I did one with my brother and one of my brother's friends, and they're both like very computer minded. And so like they were coming up with these crazy solutions to stuff. And I'm like, and I also
say you need like
wanted to make everything more complicated than it needed to be. Like they said, oh, there's some simple math. They let us know that going into the room. And he's looking at like a calculus textbook trying to figure out, and I'm like, they said simple math. I'm pretty sure the escape room is not making us do calculus. But he tried.
Right. Yeah, so someday I will do an escape room somewhere at some point, I'm sure. But, life goals. So
we'll do one together after we take over Marsha's porch.
Yes, they are.
We do it in my barn. We make them. We make escape rooms. When the escape rooms came out, we were like, we've been making them forever. My family been making them. So I'll make you one, Jennifer. They'll be really good.
Thank you. And I also don't know if you were able to see Isabella's reaction when you said, we make them.
We make escape
rooms. Like, what? Of course you do. Of course Marsha makes escape rooms. All right. Well, thank you to all of you for participating. Thank you to everybody who listened. Next week, we are going to be sharing our favorite authors. So a very wide open topic. Anybody out there who's written anything can be your favorite author. So make sure to tune in next week to hear our favorite authors, add some more titles to your to-read list. And thanks again. Bye.